All right, good morning, traders. Today's August 11th, 2025. My name is John Carignan. I'm the lead instructor here at the BYOB Trading Room. That is the hit and run. That is the day trading service for the hit and run candlesticks family. All right, let's go ahead and drill down here. Let's see how I plan to trade SPY today. Let's look at how we made some money on Friday. Let's take a peek at everything. Hey, before I get started, I want to remind everybody, Doug Campbell's having at Right Way Options. He's having an open house today. All right, starts at 9:25. My link will be in the description. I don't know if the link, in the description of the video. I don't know if it will be up in time. So if you want to just pause the video or scan the QR code. All right, a link will show up inside your smartphone camera. You got to scan it with your smartphone camera. All right, and then you press that link, get registered, and they'll send you the credentials to get into the Right Way Options room. Again, open house for Right Way Options today, 9:25. Let me just say, he has a morning video, so you might want to get there around 9 or so you can watch the morning video and be prepared for the trading day. All right, so look up in the upper left-hand corner. You're going to see alerts. All right, and look at the bottom of the alert section, just the alert section. You're going to see Doug Campbell morning video. All right, there'll be a link to it at the bottom there. Okay, all right, so good luck, Doug, by the way. All right, so let's go ahead and didn't want to do that, but let's see what we can get here. All right, today's August 11th. My SPY pivot today, 636.30 above it. I'm a bull. Below it, I'm a bear. Believe it or not, QQQ made a new all-time high on Friday. FNGU made an inside day, closing over a bullish trap over the 17. SPY made a higher low and a higher high, closing over a bullish trap over the 17. Diamond Dow and IWM made inside days. One closed just above the bearish trap, one closed inside the bearish trap. Both closed underneath their 17 EMAs. SPY closed with a 2-hour uptrend and a 10-minute downtrend. Silver still in an uptrend, made a lower low and a lower high, closing under a bullish trap. No, over the bullish trap above the 17 EMA. Gold in a daily downtrend, but get this, it's not moving down. All right, made a higher low, so a downtrend that's not working. So gold made a higher low and a higher high, closing over a bullish trap over the 17. USO in a daily downtrend, made a lower low and a lower high, closing under a bearish trap under the 17. UNG still in that bearish head and shoulders pattern. UNG in a daily downtrend, made a lower low and a lower high, closing inside a bearish trap underneath the 17. US dollar index still in an uptrend, closed near the 98.24 area. SPY max pain 636 with a put to call ratio of about 1.5 puts for each call. That expires today at 4:15. Now, if you see a little star, these are all in bullish uptrends above the 17. These are all in bearish downtrends below the 17. If you see a little star, it's because they're setting up a launch pad. I didn't check out Bro, but Mobley was on the list last time, and you can see not a launch pad. These are the platforms. These are the launch pads. Platforms take you down. All right, launch pads take you up. Supposed to. All right, so MBLY went down a little further, so they're breaking down from their launch pad, their platform down. So if you remember correctly, let's get the drawing tools here. Okay, so on the bearish ones, we want them to go down. All right, go down and hold the lower ground. Okay, so and then make another move down. So MBLY was already making that next move down from that platform that they constructed earlier. Okay, MBLY. Bro, we'll have to check that one out a little bit later. All right, so you can see right there. Now, if they got a star up here and on the bull side, that means they went up. All right, what's going on? That's not what I wanted. Okay, so now COUR, if they got a star here, price goes up. Okay, price goes up and makes a launch pad, and then we're looking for a breakout to the upside. Okay, so that'd be COUR and CLS. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at some charts today. See how we're going to trade SPY. Take a peek at everything. Let's take a look at. Well, let's get that back up one more time so I said I was going to check it out. So let's take a look at BRO on the daily chart. On the daily chart, BRO. Yeah, not quite moving in the right direction. Might be pulling back to make a slam down. Right now, bro, just consolidating. Again, you can see the price action. Okay, doing kind of what I said. Moving down over to the right, and we're looking for a move down this way. All right. So on MBLY, you can see it already started. MBLY. Okay, you can see price action did exactly what we planned. Oh, you can see it already. Comes down, builds a platform over, and now you can see price action breaking through this line right through here. Okay, see all those. See all those tails down there? Okay, so you can see price breaking through all of the tails, closing underneath the tails. So it has broken support right there, okay? So looking for a big fall to the downside. We'll see what happens, all right? Here's the last one where they came down, okay? All right, and they built a platform, and then they went over to the right, and then they went down, okay? Now they're doing another one. Looking for another leg down. You can see kind of sloppy there with the artwork, all right? But let's try it one more time. Okay, so down, over, okay, down, over, and you can see we're starting to break right now for another leg down. Okay, so that's MBLY. All right, so why do I have bulls and bears on my list? For people that like to be delta neutral, like to have a certain amount of their capital in their portfolio on the long side, that's working, all right? And you want a certain amount of capital on the short side, that's working, okay? That way you got something working at all times, all right? So that's why I keep some bulls and bears. Now, we're in a bullish market right now. So I'm gonna be bullish till it's not. All right. So let's go back and take a look at SPY. Okay, on the daily chart, and I'm gonna zoom way out so you can see. There's the low. All right. So here's the rally high up there. Okay. Notice QQQ yesterday. Friday put in a new all-time high. So here's SPY. Okay. Candle for Friday for SPY. Higher low, higher high. Closing over a bullish trap. See the 3 on top of the 8, closing over a bullish trap over the 17. See the green dots right there over the 17, and we're already kind of gapping up early this morning. So there's SPY on the daily chart again in an uptrend. All right there. That's in an uptrend. They haven't made a lower low. So let's take a look at QQQ. No, we'll just go ahead and take a look at the 2-hour. On the 2-hour, we got the 3 on top of the 8, all right? So we got a 2-hour uptrend, okay, coming in to the close on Friday. Let's take a look at the 10-minute. Okay, on the 10-minute, okay, notice the 3 is underneath the 8. So you got a 10-minute downtrend, all right, into the close on Friday, all right? We're already gapping up over this, so this is a failed breakdown. All right, so we'll be looking for a continuation of what we traded on Friday to the upside. Again, we'll be looking for a green candle, all right? something that is not looking like a spinning top, okay, or like a doji. All right, we don't want any dojis, we don't want any spinning tops like that. Okay, we don't want any topping tail candles, something with much more wick than body and tail. Okay, and we don't want any red candles. Okay, because if we're going to trade an uptrend, all right, that would be buying a candle that the bears have control in. That's likely to fail for us. All right, so we're looking for a continuation of the 10-minute uptrend since we've had a failed downtrend right here. So price action, we will look for a nice green candle. All right, hopefully right up over this base. All right, we want a nice green candle up over the base to buy into for a continuation of the 10-minute uptrend. Okay, so we're approaching some of the all-time highs here. Okay, now keep in mind we got rejected here before. All right, let's zoom out and see on the daily chart. Actually, we'll look on the 2-hour. Okay, right here, see how we got rejected before. Okay, see how we got close and we got kind of rejected before. So just saying, if you get a chance here, maybe skin some profits or tighten up the stops just in case. You know, you never know when they're just going to take it up halfway and then rip it to the downside or just flood it to the downside. Okay, so be careful up here. We are in the frothy section. I do like the idea that price made a higher low and has recovered all the way up there. All right, but keep in mind this is the last time we were here. We sold off back to 620. That represents a $20 drop. Okay, all right. That's not a fun ride. All right, unless you like roller coasters. Okay, so there's SPY. All right, let's take a look at the game plan. We'll look at that on the 10-minute chart. See if I can get everything in the same window without crossing over. Okay, let's try it one more time. Pull it over. I think I got it now. Okay, SPY game plan. Okay, remember the pivot 630, 630. Above it, I'm a bull. Below it, I'm a bear. Green erases red entry up over 637.70. We have a red erases green entry underneath 634.85. I like 4 days till expiration options, and that's supposed to say 11 days till expiration. And I like 11 days till expiration Friday options that are on the multiple of 5. So I like 635, I like 640, I like 645, I like 625, okay? I like options on the multiple of 5. I like them on Fridays because they have more open interest. I like them $3 to $5, $15 out of the money, all right, because they're a little bit cheaper that way, all right, and a little bit less risk. You're not going to get the performance that you would from an in-the-money option, all right, but you are offered a little less risk, okay? Remember, these things can go to zero, all right, so you got to be careful with that, all right? If you're one of those people that just hangs on to them, they could go from $3 down to zero, and for that fact, I like them $3 to $15 out of the money. Again, you're laying out less capital, all right, but you're not going to get the performance, all right. I like 10-minute uptrends over VWAP, breaking away from VWAP. I like 10-minute downtrends under VWAP and breaking away from VWAP. Now, if a 10-minute uptrend happens to manifest down here, okay, I'm not opposed to trading it as long as it breaks the 10-minute bullish rubber band candle, okay? If a 10-minute downtrend happens to manifest up here, like I said, beware up ahead. We were selling off last time. We got up here into the 640 section, all right? Last time we went for a $20 ride, okay? So be careful up here. Hopefully we don't go for another $20 ride. All right, so just be careful. Watch for price to possibly reverse. Keep those stops managed correctly. You don't want to get flaked out, but you don't want and lose your profits, but you don't want to or lose a possible run to the upside. But at the same time, you kind of don't want and get taken to the woodshed either. All right, so be careful up here. Maybe it'd be best just to wait for it to break out and make a new high. That would be one. That would be one strategy. All right, but things are still bullish. I'm going to trade them bullish till they're not. Okay, again, if I get a 10-minute downtrend up here that happens to manifest long before the red erases green entry down here, 634.85, okay? Long before that. If it happens to manifest and it breaks the bearish 10-minute rubber band candle to the downside, okay, I'd be highly interested in trading that. Okay, back to VWAP, back to the pivot, and then if it's still that 10-minute downtrend is still hanging on down to the red erases green event, then down to open gap, all right, and then down to that gap fill, all right. So that's the plan. Okay, so this morning we're looking for 10-minute candle. Again, no spinning tops, no dojis, no topping wick candles. Okay, something with more wick than body and tail. All right, shows us bullish control. Excuse me, bearish control. So we don't want a bearish candle. Obviously, don't want a red candle because we're trading. Excuse me, 10-minute uptrend, right? So it just makes sense. We want a decent candle to buy into. All right, to trade it to the upside. Okay, so there's the 10-minute plan. Let's take a look at the pre-market one time before we get started here. You can see here's price action. Okay, we're going to mark off the top. Okay, going to mark off the top up here, and we're going to mark off the bottom here. Okay, now a break of this range is an entry. Okay, that would be red erases green. Excuse me, green erases red in the pre-market. So a breakout of this range. This would be called the overnight range. Okay, so a breakout of the range is an entry for me. Okay, either to the upside or to the downside. Now, if they don't break out of the range, okay, I will mark off the first 15 minutes, all right, and call that the opening range. This will be the overnight range that you're looking at now, and then there'll be the first 15 minutes range, okay? Now, if they break out of the opening range, that's the first 15 minutes, okay? All right, I'll be looking to trade the break up or the breakdown. Now, if they have a break up, the first target will probably be the overnight high. If they have a breakdown, the first target will probably be either gap fill or the overnight low. All right, so think about that. Okay, that'll be the first target. Okay, not saying I'm taking all my profit. I would expect a bounce because we got a bounce here before. Okay, at the overnight low. If they happen to break a bearish rubber band candle attached to the overnight low, good chance we're probably going to come all the way down here to the open gap and have a peek at that. And you're either going to bounce there or we're going to consolidate and probably do the whole gap fill thing from yesterday's open gap. All right, so yesterday, how did we make money? It was a 10-minute uptrend over VWAP. All right, so we had 10-minute uptrend up over VWAP here. Pull back to VWAP, did another 10-minute uptrend over VWAP. Pulled back to VWAP again, did another 10-minute uptrend over VWAP. Pulled back again, did another 10-minute uptrend, and then another breakout into the close right up there to rally up towards some of those higher highs. Okay, so there's SPY on the 10-minute. You got a game plan. You got a plan for this morning. Okay, so we're going to box off the first 15 minutes. Could be this big. It might be this big. All right, but if it happens to be inside the overnight range, all right, first targets will be the overnight high. Remember, it bounced away when it was up there before. We're looking for it to bounce away when it gets up there again, all right? We'll see. They're going to test it again here. We'll see what they do with it. If they bounce away or whether they hold and grind and melt up through it. Okay. Again, if you break down to the downside, the first target is going to be your gap fill right here. Remember, if we open up here, there's a gap fill right here. Okay. Gaps are magnetic, so chances are they're going to go fill the gap. Okay. So if we break down from the downside on the opening range right there, gap fill will be the first target. Probably expect a reversal back up to the top of the opening range, all right? And maybe even up to the top of the overnight high. We'll see, all right? So they may just wishy-washy it back and forth right on top of VWAP today. So stay out of the chop, all right? Keep an eye on it. Make sure you're not getting in the chop, okay? If they crisscross price back and forth across VWAP, you know, more than 2 or 3 times, more than 3 times before noon, all right, there's a good chance you're in chop. You kind of want to stay away from that, all right, until the consolidation breaks out, all right? So let them do their whole consolidation thing, all right, and then trade the breakout of that range, all right? So there's some SPY. QQQ's got a game plan as well, all right? We're going to visit that real quick. Game plan right here, okay, QQQ. Again, I like the same thing. 11 days till expiration. Friday options on the multiple of 5. $3 to $15 out of the money. All right. And 4 days till expiration. Friday options on the multiple of 5. $3 to $15. The strike would be $3 to $15 out of the money. Okay. I like 10-minute uptrends over VWAP. Same thing happened on QQQ yesterday. Traded the 10-minute uptrend over. It was a continuation of the 10-minute uptrend that we left off with on the 7th or the day before. That would be Thursday. Okay, both SPY and QQQ. We traded a 10-minute continuation, all right, to the 10-minute uptrend, all right? So we're looking for that to happen. So price action, again, I like 4 days and 11 days till expiration. Friday options on the multiple of 5, $3 to $15 out of the money, okay? I like 10-minute uptrends over VWAP and peeling away from VWAP. I like 10-minute downtrends under VWAP and peeling away from VWAP, okay? Got a green erase is red. Entry. And this green line's not quite where it's supposed to be. Should be right about there. 74.80, okay? All right, that's where it's supposed to be. Okay, green erase is red over 574.80. QQQ pivot is 573.20. Above it, I'm a bull. Below it, I'm a bear. And a bearish red erase is green. Green erase, red erase is green. Underneath 572. There's your QQQ game plan. Okay, on QQQ, again, same thing. We're going to mark off the overnight range. And then if we happen to open up inside that overnight range, we'll mark off the first 15 minutes. And if that opening range happens to be inside the overnight range, we will look for a breakout. Again, looking for targets of gap fill or the overnight low if we break down, or overnight high if we break up. All right, there's QQQ. All right, let's take a look at QQQ on the daily chart. All right, you can see QQQ yesterday, and that's not the one. This is the one. Okay, so QQQ yesterday. All right, made a new all-time high. Higher low, higher high, closing over a bullish trap over the 17 EMA. Okay, still in an uptrend. All right, now back to SPY. Remember, my favorite trade is a 10-minute uptrend inside a 2-hour uptrend. That's inside of a daily uptrend. That's inside of a weekly uptrend. That's inside of a monthly uptrend. All right, let's just see how much of that is true. All right, SPY. Okay, you can see all the green dots. Definitely got the daily uptrend. Okay, see all the green dots. Definitely got a weekly uptrend. Definitely got a monthly. See all the green dots? Definitely got a monthly uptrend, okay? And then I showed you the 2 hour. See the green dots? 3 on top of the 8. Definitely got a 2 hour uptrend, okay? So now all we need is a 10-minute uptrend, and we have my favorite trade, okay? Which is 10-minute uptrend inside the 2 hour uptrend, inside the daily, inside the weekly, inside the monthly, okay? That's my favorite trade. All right, so just in case you don't know what it is, there it is, right there. Okay, let's go take a peek at FNGU. All right, let's look at that on the daily chart. And FNGU put in an inside day. That's a lower high and a higher low, closing over a bullish trap over the 17 EMA. Okay, FNGU consolidating over prior consolidation. Okay, that's bullish. See, consolidating over prior consolidation. Okay, that is a bullish environment. That is a bullish outlook. All right, it's making higher lows and higher highs. FNGU got itself into a downtrend by, see this low? Okay, they made a lower low. All right, so they got themselves into a downtrend. Now it's just a label. All right, they're definitely still bullish up here in quadrant 4. Okay, because they moving up and holding the higher ground. Okay, but they got themselves in a downtrend because they made a lower low on this consolidation. I don't know if you can really call that a lower low. All they did was test the lower range of the consolidation. But anyways, it's below the 17. All right, they shouldn't have lingered here too long, but here we are. They got a lower low, so they're in a downtrend. But get this, the downtrend is not working. Okay, so they're in a downtrend that's not working, and they're all the way up here in quadrant 4, so that's bullish, all right? Okay, SPY is still in uptrends, all right? In other words, they didn't make a lower low like FNGU did. Okay, so let's take a look at Diamond Dow. Okay, Diamond Dow, see the low right there? They made a lower low, so they're technically in a downtrend, all right? That's not moving down. Another one, all right, up there in quadrant 4, that's bullish. Again, consolidation over prior consolidation is a bullish behavior. That is a bullish environment. Okay, so there's Diamond Dow. Let's take a look at IWM. Okay, again, consolidation over prior consolidation, all right, is a bullish environment. Okay, so if we were to take this consolidation here, that's above. That is a bullish environment. Okay, again, just like Diamond Dow and FNGU, IWM, see the low right there? They made a lower low, so they're technically in a downtrend. But get this, again, that downtrend's not working. Okay, so you've got FNGU, IWM, and Diamond Dow all in downtrends that are not working. Okay, price is in the upper third, so that is bullish up there in the upper third. Anytime in the quadrant lines you're in the upper third, I consider it to be bullish. So it's just barely making the cut here. Okay, so if we were to draw a line of the upper third, that would be like right through there. Okay, so if you close up here, anywhere up here, this is bullish for me. All right, so bullish up there. Lower third, okay, that's bearish. Lower third is bearish, upper third is bullish. Okay, so IWM, Diamond Dow, and FNGU all in the upper third. So they're still bullish, all right, even though they got downtrends that aren't working, okay? So there we are with IWM. Let's take a look at IWM, Diamond Dow, and FNGU. Take a look at our technicals, T2122. Looks like they broke the downtrend line that starts right through here. Okay, and we had a downtrend line going right through there. They broke up. They couldn't hold. All right, on the 7th, notice they got up and couldn't hold. Okay, we broke out again. All right. It doesn't look like we held to the higher high. And it looks like to me like they're starting another one right there. That's what it looks like to me. So be careful out there today, traders. Okay, again, you're approaching those prior highs. This is not looking good. We're not making any higher highs yet, other than this high over these micro highs there. Notice we didn't take out that high. All right. And we keep digging out lower lows in the smaller time frames down here. See the low? Get a low, a low, a low, and we're leaving off weak right there. So there's T21.22. So be careful with that. T21.23. This is the 15-minute chart. Okay. You notice right here we got a low. We're making lower lows. So on the 15-minute, we're in a downtrend. We're underneath the 200 SMA. That's the 15-minute chart for T21.23. All in all, we're still bullish, okay, because you notice price, for the most part, okay, has gone up and over to the right. Right now, we're kind of showing a little bit of head and shoulders. That would be the blackhead up there. And then, of course, right shoulder would be right here. Left shoulder would be right here. Okay, left shoulder, right shoulder, blackhead. All right, so we're showing this pattern right now. Not to say it's going to play out. I'm just saying beware. If you cross the neckline, all right, and they hold down there, okay, we could be coming down to test prior support, which is right through here. Okay, around 36,000, right through that area. Okay, so there's T21.23. 15-minute chart. Look at the 3-bar chart. Okay, here's the quad lines. Notice we're up in quadrant 4. You can see a little clearer picture of that head and shoulders pattern. See, that's being the head, right shoulder, and this is the left shoulder. Okay, T21.23, 3-bar chart. Up in quadrant 4, that's bullish. All right, on the 3-bar chart, okay, they're making higher lows and higher highs, so they're still bullish on the 3-bar chart. But on the 15-minute, you notice we were making lower lows, so that's a downtrend. So 15-minute charts in a downtrend, but the 3-bar chart still in an uptrend over the 200 SMA. 15-minute was under the 200, 3-bar charts over the 200. So there's T21.23. Let's take a look at FNGU. For the most part yesterday, Friday, the bulls took over all day long. Okay, so you can see a bullish gap up, not filled by the bears. Anytime you see a bullish gap up that doesn't get filled by the bears by noon, okay, that is a bullish day. Same thing with the bears. If we gap down and the bulls cannot recover that gap before noon, you're in for probably a bearish day all the way probably till 2:30. Okay, so there's FNGU. All right, price action bullied all day long. See the green dots all the way into the close. All right, and remember this is only 10 securities inside this ETN. All right, but they're the most heavily weighted inside the QQQ and the SPY. Hence, we follow FNGU. All right, so you can see on the 15-minute, we're up over the 200 SMA. All right, on the 15-minute, we are in an uptrend because we're making higher highs. Okay, so 15 minutes in an uptrend. Daily's in a downtrend, but the daily's not moving down. So that's a good news there. FNGU. Take a look at a few things here. We'll take a look at, and then we'll visit the economic package. All right. First one we'll look at is USO, some commodities. Okay. So here's USO. This is the oil. All right. We made a lower low, so we're in a downtrend. Notice price action here goes up, gives it up. Okay. A lot of going up, giving it up. Okay. That doesn't make it bearish. All right. It just means it's neutral. It's not ready yet. Okay, a lot of going up and giving it up. Okay, so that's just neutral. Hence, you're not in the upper third. You're not in the lower third. So you're not the bullish nor bearish. You're in the middle ground. So that's neutral. All right, and in a downtrend because you're making lower lows and lower highs. Okay, see how we made a low? We made a lower low. All right, so there's USO. Downtrend, but neutral. Okay, UNG. Okay, you got the head and shoulders pattern. That's the bearish head and shoulders. This is your head right there. Then we got the right shoulder is these two tops right there. Left shoulder, this two top right here and there. And you can see price. Here's a low. They're making, here's 4 lower lows and they keep making even lower lows every 2 days. That's what it seems like. So they're in a downtrend, and they're all the way down here in quadrant 1. That's bearish. All right, so looking like they're coming down here to test this all-time low right here. Okay, so we'll see how far low they want to go. Okay, UNG in a bearish head and shoulders downtrend right now. Let's take a look at silver and gold. Start off with silver. Silver's up in quadrant 4. That's bullish. Hasn't made any lower lows. All right, so it's still in an uptrend. Silver's bullish, still in an uptrend. Gold. Okay, gold made a lower low. See, we got a couple of lows here. They made a lower low. So technically, they're in a downtrend, but get this, they're not moving down. All right, so they're in a downtrend, they're just not moving down. Okay, so a failed downtrend. Okay, if you look at the price action, it's doing everything that we love out of a chart, moving up and holding the higher ground. Notice they've been holding over 300 right here for 4 months now. Okay, that's one heck of a launch pad. I hope there's one heck of a ship going to take off from up there. We'll see what happens. All right, but there's gold, all right, up here over the 300. It's been up there for 1, 2, 3, 4 months now. Nice work on gold, holding that higher ground. All right, and in a downtrend that's not working. All right, but all the way at the top of quadrant 4. Okay, so that's bullish. All right, let's take a look at the economic package, and then we're going to call it a day. Okay, so on the dollar, this is the U.S. dollar, okay, we're in an uptrend because we made, see that higher low? There's a low. We made a higher low, yeah, and we made a higher high. Okay, so that's an uptrend on the dollar, okay? Now we have minor resistance right through here that got tested before. See right there? Right there, they tested it. They couldn't hold it before. So right now, we're kind of just bear flagging over to the right underneath minor resistance. So we'll see if they get a failed breakdown to the downside. They may come back up here and test the high one more time. So they're kind of consolidating underneath here. We're in a bear flag. On the daily chart, we're in an uptrend, and that's because of the higher lows and the higher highs that were made right there. Okay, so we closed around 98.24 yesterday. Okay, Friday or yesterday, depends if they're counting Sunday or not. On Max Payne 636 for the SPY options that expired today. That's Max Payne, and about a 1.5. So one and a half puts for each call that expires today. Earnings report for today. We're going to have Barrick Mining. All right, again, familiar names. Nothing that's going to move the markets Monday. On Tuesday, what do we got? Familiar names. Nothing that's going to move the markets Tuesday. Wednesday, we've got Cisco. That's a good one. 284 billion after the close on Wednesday. Again, familiar names, nothing that's going to move the markets. Applied Materials, 146 billion, and John Deere, 137 billion. Deere's going to report Thursday morning. Applied Materials Thursday evening. Again, more familiar names. Friday, Flowers. Okay, so more familiar names. Nothing that's really going to move the markets here on this week. So not too much. Not a lot of disruptive earnings coming out. Okay, on this week. So whatever direction they headed off into last week, looks like a continuation of that this week. Okay, let's take a look at the economic calendar. Not much happening today. CPI tomorrow morning, 8:30. All right, and NFIB Small Business Optimism Index at 8 o'clock. CPI at 8:30. Keep that in mind. Wednesday, just a petroleum report. Wow, really light week this week. And then Thursday, we get started with jobless claims and probably a gas report. Yep. And that's about it right there. So really light week as far as earnings and economic events. I'm going to say the highlight of this week is going to be CPI tomorrow at 8:30 in the morning. All right, let me get this out for all my audience out there. Again, don't forget, Doug's having an open house today. All right, and I will see you all in about 40 minutes, and we'll open up the markets.